It's big, beefy and the true definition of a classic Harley. This is Harley-Davidson's 2018 Heritage Classic. We've been riding it on the roads around Barcelona today and we've found it to be great fun. Now looking at it, immediately you would say the big windscreen and these panniers, they're not exactly going to appeal to the everyday rider. In fact, there's two bikes in one. If you remove the windscreen and the panniers, you've got yourself a stripped back tourer that's great fun to ride. Under the tank, you've got Harley-Davidson's redesigned Milwaukee-Eight engine. It makes 114 foot per pound at 3,000 revs. It's surprisingly easy to throw this 316 kilogram bike around in interbends or mountain twisties. Equally, it's just as comfortable on highways and motorways. I've lost count of how many times I've been told not to judge a book by its cover, but I still do every time. My first impression of Harley-Davidson's Heritage Classic 114 was that of a large ungainly tourer and certainly not one capable of providing any sort of engaging ride. 100 miles later and hands up, I was wrong. This bike may look like the stereotypical classic Harley, minus the chrome, but the ride has evolved tenfold, even since its last incarnation. Engine. A redesigned version of Harley's Milwaukee-Eight engine, first seen in the 2017 Tourer range, sits under the tank, producing 114 foot per pound of torque. This unit's namesake capacity is also, coincidentally, 114 cubic inches. That's 1868 cc on this side of the pond. The 92.7 horsepower engine is unmistakably Harley, despite the solid mounting to minimise vibrations. Peak torque is reached at 3,000 revs, while the engine tops out just shy of 6,000. Power is plentiful. You can leave the bike in third or fourth as you throw it around bends, happy in the knowledge that you'll be able to accelerate out the other side. Handling. Harley's Heritage Classic features the same new frame as the rest of the 2018 Softail range, which is much lighter and stiffer than previously. However, the bike is still heavy, at 330 kilograms wet. For a heavyweight tourer, the Heritage Classic is surprisingly agile, and thanks to raised footboards has a 1% increase in lean angle on its predecessor. It might not sound like a lot, but it makes a significant difference on tighter turns, although unfortunately the boards will still scrape easily. Back at a standstill, the bike feels far heavier than it did on the move. The mid-height bars require a decent shove to stand the bike upright, and wheeling it around could soon become exhausting. Suspension. The new dual bending valve fork up the front is more than adequate, and a new monoshock at the rear features preload adjustment, which will prove invaluable to owners who ride two up with luggage. Brakes. The Heritage Classic falls short on stopping power. The rear brake is useful and progressive, but ultimately not that powerful, while the front could be a lot sharper. With 316 kilograms of bike, plus potentially another 250 kilograms of rider, pillion and luggage, another disc really wouldn't go amiss. ABS is standard on the model, although traction control isn't an option. Harley said the bikes wouldn't require it due to their low centre of gravity and large contact area with the ground. Unfortunately, when we rode this bike in torrential rain, the lack of traction control was painfully obvious and quite disconcerting. Equipment. The Heritage Classic is not cheap. The 114 costs from $19,195 in black, or £750 more for the two-tone model that we tested. But you get a lot of bike for your buck. In fact, you get two bikes. Whip that huge screen and the solid lockable panniers off and you've got an entirely different beast. Almost justifies dropping 20 grand on a bike, maybe. A large 18.9 litre fuel tank and fuel economy of 42 miles per gallon gives a bike a decent range, and the comfortable seat won't leave you gagging to get off. In fact, the rider ergonomics of the bike are pretty good in all respects. Unfortunately, at 5'8", I did find the gear shift and rear brake a bit too far away. Harley-Davidson, though, has accounted for this, and among the 300 plus additional options for the new Softail range include a number of seats, pegs and bars designed for shorter or smaller riders. We like. This bike is great fun to ride and embodies the classic spirit of a Harley-Davidson in an updated, darker package. You get a lot of bike for your money and there's tons of additional options available. The trio of new LED lights up front are a nice touch and help to bring the bike into the 21st century. The Heritage Classic's adaptability is also something to praise. It's easy to remove the screen, you don't need tools, and taking off the panniers is similarly hassle-free. We don't like. Harley-Davidson is targeting a younger demographic of riders with the 2018 Softail range, but I can't help but feel that the all-American manufacturer has gone well far of the mark here. While the stripped back chrome gives it a more badass personality, the huge screen and studded panniers aren't at all appealing. However, this is a bike that will appease the long-time Harley riders out of a range that's not at all traditional HD. We really don't like the lack of traction control. Verdict. If I had to choose any of the new Softails, it wouldn't be this one, but that would be my mistake. It's by far the most practical, adaptable and comfortable of the new models and is a ball to ride. But ultimately, it's just not at all cool.